right. So Myron, congratulations on doing such a great job on your business x-ray. You probably don't get to see too many of these, so you don't know what's good and what's bad, but I get to see
Yeah.
them, and you did a phenomenal job. So great work on that.
Well, thank you.
Yep. If it seems like, Myron, we're going over a lot of information in a very short period of time, the reason it seems that way is because we are.
Yeah. Mhm.
So
Mhm. Yep.
again, as I had mentioned, part of the x-ray, part of the $285 is not only the interview and the report that you received and then our review here, but we do know you're going to have questions. And so part of that 285 is if you have any questions on any part of the business x-ray at any time ever, you're free to call us or email us and let us know and say, hey, I had a question on this part of the x-ray. Again, it's not a business plan and it's not coaching, but you do have questions as it relates to the x-ray that come up. You're free to connect with us anytime because we want to serve you and we want to make sure you're getting the most value out of your x-ray.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. So do you have any questions, Myron, before we dive in and get started?
Uh, um, no, not right now. I don't think.
Okay. And Kenny, did we get Myron over the a new x-ray? The one with the numbers, or does he have the one I have on my screen, Kenny, or does he have a different one? You're on mute if you're talking. Myron, when you look at the
Yes, he's got the same one.
okay. So Myron, if you take a look at phase 2 on your business x-ray, do you see $733 a week?
Face. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. And then below that is 114,286.
Yes.
Congratulations, Myron. That's awesome. You might say, but Mark, that's how much money I'm losing. Why are you congratulating me? And so
Uh-huh.
the reason is what this is showing us is that you have a lot of pent up potential in your business that's not being fully tapped.
Okay. Mhm.
And so this is revealing that you have a lot more money. It's like an engine in a business. It's like an engine in a car or engine in a tractor or anything. That engine,
Mhm.
if it's not tuned up, if it's not the right engine, it's not going to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
Same thing is true in a business. So the
Okay.
good news is you probably have felt that your business could be doing a lot more, but you
Mhm.
just don't know how to do that. You don't have the
Yeah.
knowledge potentially to know how to tune up the engine or put a new engine in your business, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. You'll see that the x-ray is broken down into 4 phases. Phase 1 is upper left, phase 2 is upper right, phase 3 is lower left, and phase 4 is lower right. Make sense?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
let's go down to phase 3, and you'll look halfway down on how much you're worth on an hourly basis. $362 an hour. Did you see that? Do you see that?
Yeah. Mhm.
You know you're worth, Myron, $362 an hour?
I would be surprised anyhow.
Yeah. Okay. See, you're learning lots. So what you do is print this
Okay.
out, circle it, and if anyone's wasting your time, Myron, tell them you're worth $362 an hour. Don't waste your time. I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
don't tell your wife and kids that. I mean, you can tell
Yeah.
them how much you're worth on an hourly basis, so it impresses them, and they're like, "Ooh, we didn't realize Dad was worth that much." It's like, "Yep, I'm worth that much."
Uh-huh.
So what we know, Myron, is that there are things that you're doing right now that are not worth $362 an hour. Would you agree with that?
I would. I would. Yeah.
So what we need to do, Myron, from this point forward is change the way we're thinking. So a lot of times people say, Mark, what do you do for a living? What does your company do? And I feel like saying I'm really a mental chiropractor.
Okay. Yeah.
I help people to learn to think differently. So what's the difference between you earning, 32,000 and 150,000? It's how you think.
Okay.
So Albert Einstein, the famous scientist, he said, human beings can never solve the problem upon which it was at the level it was created. What does that mean? It means that we create our own problems based on how we think. So to solve a problem, we've got to think differently. To get out of the factory and get your business running successfully enough to where you don't need the factory anymore, you got to learn to think differently.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yes.
So to think differently, that's one of the hardest things for a human being to do.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's just hard. So what we do is we work to, make that easier. So there's something, if you look at your other document where the boss system, where it says boss, and then it has the three elements, DNA for people, business, and life. Do you see that document?
Yeah. Examination, solutions, and implementation.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
So if you go ahead and if you look at the different panels there, so the examination, solution, implementation, that's panel 3.
Huh?
So in panel 1, that's the Einstein thing. So you can never solve a problem on the
Yeah.
level. So what problems are we having? To solve those problems, we need to learn to think differently. So what we need is a bigger engine in your business. That's going to be panel 5.
Okay.
So you need a new boss system, a business operating system. So the boss system, the business operating system, it's the engine that runs our business. We earn the money we earn, work the hours we work, have the stress and life balance we do or don't have because of the engine in our business.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. There are 3 elements to that engine. You'll see that in panel 6. So you have the DNA for people, the DNA for business, and the DNA for life. Do you see those 3 things?
Yeah. Yep.
So the DNA for people is the science of identifying somebody's personality in 17 seconds. Once you identify their personality, their strengths, weaknesses, what they like, what they don't, turns them on, turns them off, if they're married, who they're married to, conflict of marriage. You know more about somebody in 17 seconds than they know about themselves.
Wow.
This is very important in business. It's important when you're selling. It's important when you're servicing. It's important when you're hiring. It's important with vendors. So DNA for people is really, really, it's an important element of the boss system. Make sense?
Yes.
The DNA for business is the 530 grid, and we'll cover that in just a minute. The
Okay.
DNA for life is natural laws. This is like the law of gravity. You and I don't have to believe the law of gravity. Often our boys, when they're younger, they don't believe the law of gravity, which is why they get hurt.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so natural laws are just that. It's natural laws. So this is why, you can have a farmer that's an atheist and be very successful. And you can have a Christian you can have a farmer who's a Christian that fails in farming. Why? Because the atheist, while doesn't believe in God, does understand God's laws to farming, and he's more successful. If the farmer who's a Christian doesn't understand God's natural laws, guess what? Farming is not for him.
Uh-huh.
So over the last 30 plus years, we've discovered over 500 business and life natural laws. And so one of those laws is what's called the 5 time management freedom fighters. And so one of the biggest challenges that people think they have is they think they lack time. I don't have enough time to do things. And the truth is actually, it's not a high enough priority. If somebody knows they should be doing something and they're not doing it, it's for one of three reasons always. It's because they don't know the true benefit of doing it. They don't know the true cost of not doing it. And or they don't know how to do it with their current level of bandwidth or current. If I have an extra 20 to 30 hours of free time a week that I don't know what to do with. I have so much free time, it's insane. There's very few business owners that can say that. There are many reasons I have this free time. One of them, because I understand the natural law of the 5 time management freedom fighters. So if you go back to your business x-ray and look at phase 3, and then right to the right of phase 3, you'll see a box where it has 5 things: delegate, systematize, contract out, hire someone, or partner with someone. Do you see those 5 things?
In box number.
If you look at box 3, the upper right-hand side of box 3, and then just go to the right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You'll see those, what they're called is the 5 time management freedom fighters.
Okay.
So if you want more time, this is how you get more time. It's one or many of these will give you more time. So there's 6 ways to actually get something done. So to get to 150,000 in business, you have to go ahead and you have to do a certain number of tasks. So you have to do the right actions in the right way over the right period of time. If we don't do the right task in the right way over the right period of time, we'll never get to 150,000.
No.
Now, the good news is once we understand these laws and have a boss system, so we can build an engine to get to 100,000 or 250 or 500,000 or 1,000,000 or 2.5 million, whatever engine we want. If we have the knowledge base on how to build that engine for a business, we can get to whatever we want to get to. So the 6 ways to do those tasks that need to be done is you can do the work yourself, but the challenge in doing the work yourself is you end up owning a job rather than owning a company.
Mm-hmm.
So the truth is, most business owners actually don't own a company, they own a job. If they're not working, they're not making money, the business is not making money. Well, that's really not owning a company, that's owning a job. So what we do is the next step after the business x-ray in some situations, it's going into a program called Action Vision. And it's helping people discover their life vision, why God's put them on this planet. And then what we do is architect and engineer a plan that's based on their life vision to get their business to do the income it needs to do to give them the freedom to do what God's put them on this planet to do. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so we come up with the task. These are the tasks that need to be done. And you will do those tasks until we can delegate those to somebody else or systematize those or contract that out to somebody else or hire someone or partner with someone. The key is to owning a company is you got to be good at delegation, systematization, contracting out, hire someone or partner. You've got to do one of those or multiple of those 5s to everything that you can do.
Okay.
If you do that successfully, or when you do that successfully, your business will actually run without you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. So how do we do that? If you go to phase 2 in your x-ray and go to the bottom part of 2, you'll see turnkey systems to implement. Do you see that there?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So there's seven systems that every business needs to have to run without the business owner. And so there are 4 questions that people typically ask me, Myron, on what, on these 7 systems. So the first question is, Mark, where do I get started? Which of the 7 should I start with? And it depends, right? Because every business is different. Every human being is different. So it depends. Often though, not always, but often it's number 2. It's having a business plan and then the coaching. Why is that? It's like building a house. If you don't have architectural plans, probably you're not going to have that great of a house. You got to have a plan before you go ahead. If you just jump in and just start ordering materials and just start whipping the house together without any plans, probably you're not going to have that great of a house. Same thing is true with a business. Make sense?
Yes, it does. Certainly does.
The second question people will ask is people will go ahead and say, so Mark, how do I build all 7 systems if I don't have a lot of extra time or money? And that's a good question too. So what we find, Myron, is whichever one of the 7 you choose to start with, get that system up and going and get it making you money and get it saving you time. Take as much of that money as you can and as much of that time as you can and invest it into building a second system. Once you get 1 and 2 up and going, you can invest that time and money into 3 and 4. Once you get 1 through 4, you can invest it into 5 to 7. And before you know it, you have all 7 systems built from your very first system. Does that make sense, Myron?
Yes, it does.
Cool. Now, whatever you do, Myron, is do not steal from your company. Don't steal time and don't steal money. And so what does that mean? See, a lot of times when a business starts making more money, the business owner or their family will say, we've worked really hard. We deserve to take that money for ourselves and buy a more property or buy, other things. They don't invest it back into their company.
Yeah.
And if you don't have these 7 systems, you have just 1 system. It's like having an engine with 1 piston. It's not going to go very far, very fast, very long. You got to have all 7 systems. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
The third question people ask is they'll say, so Mark, how do I get the most out of these 7 systems? And that's a great question too. And so these 7 systems are important for every business. Doesn't matter what business you have. So if people take the next step with us and go into coaching, business coaching, and have us build a plan and all of that kind of stuff, if people do that, what we do is we help them architect the 7 systems to where they can share those with other business owners. And so when the average person on the street knows 250 people, the average business owner knows over 5,500 people. So other business owners can refer a lot of business to you. So as you help other business owners, so sometimes people will say, well, why would I help others? You don't understand, my marketplace, there's no loyalty. And I'm like, well, good news is Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, he didn't build a $1 billion company, $1 trillion company because of loyalty. He built it based on systems. So as you share these 7 systems with other business owners properly, they will refer business to you. As their business grows, your business, as your business grows, their business grows. We really, truly can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Does that make sense?
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. When we architect and engineer any system we build for a company, we always build it with the intention of our clients being able to share it with other businesses they know, because we just know as you help others, they help you, and together we truly can accomplish so much more than we ever could on our own. Make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The fourth question people will ask is they'll say, Mark, do I have to reinvent the wheel? Do I have to build all 7 of these systems from scratch? And the answer is no, you don't. So the 3 that are highlighted are 3 that we will often engineer and architect for our clients. And number 2, the business plan, the action vision. If people go on that system actually has millions of dollars of tools and systems that are already in that. And you not only get the plan and the coaching, but the tools and the systems. And so those tools and systems actually help you very quickly build the other 7 systems, which is why people often go on action vision. So if you have any questions on any of the 3 or any of the 7 at the end of today's coaching session of the X-ray, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Cool. All right, let's go ahead and take a look, go down to phase 3. Halfway down on phase 3, you'll see your minimum income goal or minimum income is 120. Your WOW is 150. Your biggest challenge is marketing and employees. Good. We'll get to that in a second. Good. Good. You're working 45 hours, like to work 45 hours. Good. Okay. Okay, good. So that just gives us information. It helps us to better understand. If you go over to phase 4, the upper right-hand side of phase 4, you'll see where you were asked over 40 different questions, 1 to 10, with 10 being the best or highest.
Mm-hmm.
And so what this is showing us, it's not the first number that makes a difference or the second, it's the difference between the 2. So for example, A is stress. You're at an 8, you'd like to be at a 5. So you have roughly about 30% more stress in your life than you'd like to. Make sense?
Yes.
Your life balance, you're at a 4, you'd like to be at an 8. So you'd like to improve your life balance by 100%. Family, you're doing pretty good, about, 10%, 15%. Doing pretty good there. Personal time, you'd like to improve that by 100%. Personal discipline by about 30%. Consistency, 30%. Doing good. And passion for success. Investing back into your business and yourself. You're at a 5. You'd like to be at a 5, so you're doing good there. Achieving your full potential is a 4. You'd like to be at an 8. So you'd like to improve that by 100%. Spiritual, you're at a 5. You'd like to be at a 9, about 90%. And you're open for input. Marriage, you and your wife are both at a 9. So congratulations on that. That's awesome. Good work there. Children, you'd like to improve that by about 50%. Self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, you'd like to improve that by about 70%. So that just gives us a read. And so if individuals do go into coaching, it's not just about making more money. It's not just about growing your business. It's not just about having more time. So every plan is customized specifically, uniquely for the individual. So if we were to go ahead and develop a plan and coach you, it would help you to go ahead and reduce your stress, improve your life balance, give you more personal time. It would help you to better achieve your full potential. If you wanted to, we can put in there how to improve, spiritually. It would help you in self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth. It would go ahead and help you in being more attentive to details. It'd help you in learning how to excite other people, control situations better, help you in goal setting, proper prioritization. It'd help you to better understand your feelings, how to communicate those and what that means, your emotions. It would go ahead and help you in technology if you wanted that, in multimedia if you wanted that, your business library if you wanted that, referral development. Essentially, it's customized specifically. It'd help you in, physical fitness if you wanted it. So there's no two people alike. There's no two human people alike. There's 8+ billion people in the world and no two are alike. Same thing is true of the business. And so a lot of times in business coaching, they kind of give you like, here's a one size fits all, or you go through the same thing. Every one of our plans, if we create a 12-month plan, everything's customized specifically, uniquely just for you and your business.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Questions on that?
No, not at this point. I mean, it's definitely covering a lot of information, but yeah, I'm just trying to follow as good as I can here.
Yeah, and a lot of the information, you just kind of, it's not like school. It's not
Yeah.
like you're going to be given a test at the end. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's not that. What you're actually listening for is the energy, the feeling of it. So in a way,
Okay, yeah.
it's super, super easy. Like it's an engine. Okay, it needs to run well. Yep. There's 3 elements.
Yeah.
Yep. So in a way, it's really easy. In another way, it can get complicated fairly quickly, which is why most people, if they're invited to come into Action Vision, they do, because we understand the science and have all the tools. If you go to the other sheet where do you have the other sheet where it's panel 7, 8, and 9?
Yes.
So
Yep,
if you
got
look
it right
at
here.
9, that's the 530 grid. So there's 5 areas in every business. You have area 1, marketing. How do you generate more and better leads? Area 2 is pre-sales. Once you get a lead, what do you do with it? Area 3 is the sale. That's the yes or the no. Area 4 is servicing. How do you create a raving fan experience? So area 5 is creating lifelong relationships. So client for life relationships. So there's 5 areas in every business. Make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like a
Certainly.
pipeline.
Mhm.
So right now, let's say that your pipeline is producing, 30,000 a year in sales and business. So what that means is that it could mean that all 5 of those pipes are at 30,000. Or it could mean that one of those pipes is at 30,000, but you could have servicing for 100,000. But if you have your marketing at 30,000 or your sales at 30,000, you're only going to do 30,000. So we're only as strong as our smallest pipe.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
And so what we do is if we get into coaching, we actually use the 530 grid with your personality, with your goals, with your life vision, with all the 40 different things, blend it all together. Some people say, it's magical. Other people say it's kind of almost spiritual. It's like God, like understanding how God's designed and engineered us and what our life vision is, what we were put on this planet to do, and how does my business fit into that? In being able to have all of that flow, really well. Makes sense?
Yep.
Kind of, sort of. I mean,
Yeah.
big picture, like I know there's a lot there. Oh, if you
Yeah,
go to,
there definitely is.
if you go to phase 1, you'll see that on the bottom of phase 1, there's 3 dimensions, dimension 1, 2, and 3. Do you see those 3 dimensions?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the first dimension is what's called the pie dimension. So there's 3 slices to the pie, or I like to call them 3 oil wells. So there's
Okay.
3 oil wells in your business. Oil well 1 is your current and past clients. I'm sorry. Oil well 1 is your referral partners. Or this is where you can get referrals in mass. So these are business owners, associations, groups of people that you partner with, whatever. These can send you a lot of business. Oil well 2 is current and past clients. So I think I saw that you had over 400 past clients. So if you had better systems in place, you likely would get a lot more business from those past clients. And then oil well 3 is prospect. These are potential clients. Make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
If you look right beside that pie, you'll see that kind of a legend there, whereas blue is great, red is, average to good, green is below average, and, yellow is far below average. You might be thinking, wait a minute, Mark, you congratulated me on doing a great job. I see a lot of yellow here. What's going on with this? So what this is
Yeah.
showing us, what this is showing us, Myron, is that that the reason your business has had the success it has had is because you work hard and you're good at what you do. There's nothing wrong, Myron, with working hard and being good at what you do. The challenge is if you do that, you'll own a job rather than a company. What this is measuring is systems. So you're weak on the systems. So it's almost like having, let's say, a tractor, and you want a tractor that can, do something. You don't want to push a tractor. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, you don't want to push it. In a business, if you don't have systems, it's like you have a business and you're pushing the business rather than having the engine in your business run it. So it just gets exhausting. It's overwhelming. What you used to enjoy doing over time, you won't enjoy doing anymore.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah. So what we would do, Myron, is if you went with the next step where we built a plan and then we coached you, what you would do is we would help you move your business from phase 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3, and then 3 to 4. And the darker the color, the more it represents that your business is running without you. It's the healthier your engine is. Make sense?
Yeah.
And so normally, well, before I go there, and so that's phase 1. So what we do is we help all 3 oil wells connect together, and there's systems and tools that come in the Action Vision that help develop all those 3 of those areas. So as those 3 areas start to do better because of the systems, you'll earn more and work less.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
The dimension 2, the targeted dimension, there's 3 tools that every business has. They have their in-person where you meet with people. You have the phone where you talk to people on the phone. And the next one is, it could be direct mail. It could be seminars, workshops. It could be, TV, radio. It could be newspaper, like the People's Exchange. It's anything reaching out to a lot of people. So each one of these 3 tools is very powerful. And so you can see the center ring is your in person, and that's where you're strongest. So you have 2 greens and a yellow. Your phone is where you're next strongest, where you have a green and 2 yellows, and you don't really have any systems in place for reaching people in a larger way, it looks like.
No. Okay. Oh.
If we go to phase 1 and then stay in phase 1 and then look halfway down in phase 1, you'll see test 1 and test 2. The test, this is what we call the personality masteries. It's the DNA for people. It's the ability to identify somebody's personality in 17 seconds. In the coaching and the system and the tools, we help you to learn how to do that. And so what this tells me is that you're an analytic, that's the cube, and you're a wavy line, that's the expressive. So what that tells me is one of your greatest strengths is you like to dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure things are done properly in order. One of your weaknesses is the same, as we talked about the first time we talked. The second is expressive, and so one of your greatest strengths is your energy, excitement, enthusiasm. You have a million ideas. Weakness is the same. When those 2 cross over, it reveals that the individual is going to have a lot of inner conflict. You're going to have a million ideas and want to do them all perfect. That's going to create stress. If you don't understand how to manage that stress, that stress will weigh you down rather than propel you and give you energy.
Okay,
Does that
that
make
makes
sense?
sense.
Yeah.
It certainly
So,
does.
so they don't teach this in school. They don't teach this in any
No.
school. Like they don't, like I
Uh-huh.
went to college and I have 3 degrees in business. They didn't teach me this and this. This is something that I had to learn
Uh-huh.
in owning my own
Yeah.
companies. And I'm like, how does this work? Like this isn't working so well.
Uh-huh.
Now, if we look at test 2, you'll see where the numbers flip, where you test out as a driver as 1, upper right hand, and an amiable as 2. And so as a driver, one of your greatest strengths is your drive, your assertiveness, you make things happen. One of your weaknesses is the same. The lower right hand side is one of your greatest strengths is concern, compassion for people. One of your weaknesses is the same. Because you cross over there too, you're going to have a ton of inner conflict because you want to do things fast and you want to make sure people are happy. You're willing to address
Yeah.
stuff, but that creates conflict. And so you're happy and you're unhappy. You have a lot of
Uh-huh.
stress there too. When I combine them together, you're one of the most complicated of the 65,536 possible combinations. And so you're going to just be in a perpetual state of conflict inside, a lot of stress. This is not bad stress. It's stress is stress. Learning how to understand stress and then deal with it is what's important. Make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so God, from my experience, God creates us the way we are. So God
Yeah.
created you to be a very complex person. It's okay. But if we don't understand how to handle that complexity, that's going to create tension in our business. It's going to hold us back, going to create tension with our wife and our kids and other people. There's a lot of inner conflict. So this type of personality is the most interconflicted of all the personalities because you have a million ideas. You want to do them all fast. You want to do them all perfect and you want everybody to be happy. What could possibly go
Yeah.
wrong with that?
Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, right. So
Yep.
this person is in a perpetual state of conflict. So it's interesting because this person is, no matter what they do, they're always happy with what they're doing. And no matter what they do, they're always unhappy. So this not only creates a lot of inner conflict for you, but your wife also, and your kids and other people, because it's like, Dad's just strange. Don't worry, my kids say that about me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good for you. You have a big engine inside of you, but it's very important that you're trained, mentored, that you have tools and systems that help you to leverage those different energy bases, those different personalities to help them bring value to your business rather than hold them back. So this person, when they're hot, they're really, really hot. When they're not, they're really, really not. When they're hot, all of the energy bases are flowing. It's like a chiropractor. Like when everything's in alignment, you feel really good. Same thing is true with the personalities. But there's no
Okay.
medication, and you can't just go. It takes hard work for us to learn these things and then discipline in our mind. The Bible says capture every thought. Well, this type of personality has a lot of thinking, a lot of thoughts. So it's going to take you more work, but that's not negative work. It's not negative stress. It'll all be good. Make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Questions?
Um, well, no, not other than basically where do we start and when,
Yeah.
what's the first thing, I guess.
Yeah, good question.
Well,
So let me just cover one more thing for you on the X-ray, and then we can get in to answer that. So the
okay.
goal is to move you from phase 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and then you'd have one more phase after 4 to get to a solid blue. You want to get it to solid blue because that's when your business is totally running without you. And then if you wanted to, you could start another business, or you could retire, or you could sell your business. If it's solid blue, that's when you can sell your business for the highest price because it's no longer dependent upon you.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So normally, Myron, it takes between 3 and 5 years to go between each phase. So it normally takes a business owner 15 to 25 years to go from phase 1 to phase 4. Is that an okay time frame for you or not?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So I like, Myron, when people tell me no.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And that makes sense too.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, well, I'm 50, and if I have something to sell by the time I'm 70 or 75, why? But that's the way I was looking at it.
And that's okay too, right? Paul
Yeah.
says in the Bible that he's learned to be content. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's good to be content. Like there's nothing wrong with being content. But he also says, I've learned to be abased and abound. And so, and so if God wants us doing that until 70 or whatever, it's okay. But if God wants us to do that, shorter period of time, then what does God have for us that's even bigger than what we're doing now?
Yeah.
And that's okay too. So
Okay.
when individuals go on Action Vision, our goal is to help them move between each phase in somewhere between 3 months and maybe a year to 2 years. So we will help people accomplish in 2 to 3 years what normally takes 15 to 20 years to do.
Wow. Okay.
It's not better.
Yeah.
It just is. I just think of it as stewardship. Like to whom much is given, much is expected. And if somebody can get their business running without them in, 2 or 3 years, God will have something that he will put on your heart that will be bigger than your business.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So, what's the next step? I'm not sure actually for you. The logical would be Action Vision. Typically people that are on Action Vision will have a little bit bigger businesses. So they'll have maybe be doing, 100,000 in business, but we've had people on Action Vision that haven't even generated $1. So we're very careful about inviting people into Action Vision because we want it to be the right solution for them.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so individuals that go on Action Vision on average will see a 30 to 35% increase in work productivity within 30 to 60 days. So it just jump starts people because it's all customized specifically to the individual. Individuals that go on it, over 95% of the people who are invited into it and go through it, over 95% of them will follow through. Again, because we're careful on who we invite in. And then we're also, because it's customized and everything's like it's one-on-one. It's not like you get part of a whole group. You have a lead coach and then a whole coaching team that helps you through all of these different things. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's very fast. It's very efficient. So often, your one-on-one coaching is going to be a half an hour once a week. For every hour you put into Action Vision, on average, you'll get 3 hours back. It doesn't take you time. It gives you time back. It helps you to be more efficient in everything you're doing. And the thing that's most amazing about it is the accuracy of it. So if we were to go ahead and build somebody a plan to get to 100,000, some are more, obviously, some are less. But on average, if somebody does 90% of the plan, on average, they'll get 94% of the results.
Oh,
If they do 50% of the plan, they'll get 54% of the results. So sometimes people have said to me, well, Mark, I've tried coaching in the past and I've tried setting goals in the past and it hasn't worked. And I'm like, okay, why hasn't it worked? And they're like, well, I set a goal for 100,000 and I only made 50. I'm like, okay, that's fair. So you got 50% of your goal. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, how much of your plan did you do? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you have a plan. Yep. Well, did you do 50% of your plan? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, if you only do 50% of your plan, you can't expect 100% of the result.
yeah.
So what Action Vision does, it actually measures it at the end of every month on what percentage of the plan you're doing. And so it actually can tell you. So it typically takes 2-3 months and people are like, wow, I'm doing 30% of my plan and I'm on track to get 30% of my results. It's like, yep. And so once
Mm.
people see the correlation between their efforts and their results, they start doing more of their efforts. And with somebody with as many children as you have and as busy as you are, there's a tension that would happen if you got on Action Vision. And that is you'd have inner conflict, but you're used to that, right? So it's not that big a deal. But the inner conflict would be, well, I can't do everything on the plan, but I have to, but I can't, but I have to, but I can't. So there's this tension
Uh-huh.
that happens in our brain. And then all of a sudden, something snaps in a good way, and we figure out how to do things we've never done before. We figure out how to break through in ways we've never broken through before. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That. Mhm.
So, what I would recommend, I'm not quite, I can see where Action Vision would be good for you, but I'm not at the point to recommend it quite yet.
Okay.
So what I'll recommend is Kenny will get you over a business X-ray workbook,
Okay.
and that will go ahead and help you um, to go through kind of at your own pace um, what we went through in a very short period of time here.
Okay. Yeah.
And it'll start to give you some assignments and some things that you can work on from the business X-ray. And Kenny will check in on you. Elaine will check in on you periodically. You might get through, 5 pages and you might say, I'm ready to go on Action Vision. And then we'd have a conversation. Or you might get through the whole workbook and say, hey, I don't think I need Action Vision. I just needed the X-ray, which is fine too. It's totally up to you. But the
Okay.
key is what we want is when somebody invests something, it's an investment. And so we are part of that stewardship of that investment with you. And so we understand when you invest into yourself and your business, you have to get a return. If you don't, well, then you go out of business or you don't, you take forever to get things done. So that's why we're, so cautious about making sure that it's the right fit and the person is at the right time in their life and their business to do it. If you have a million things going, that doesn't mean it's not the right time. Actually, that's often the best time. When people don't have the time, when people think they don't have the time, that's often the best time to go on Action Vision because it will help them to see their world in a different way to gain an abundance of time. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions that you have, Myron?
Uh, um. Boy. Not at the moment. I'm sort of scribbling some notes down here. But yeah, I don't think there's any questions right now. Anyhow.
Yeah. Well, again,
Gonna be.
congratulations. You really did do a great job on your X-ray, and I'm excited to play whatever part we can play. In the last couple of years, I've helped a number of guys get out of the factory and get
Okay.
into their business full time. And it is one of the most rewarding, fulfilling things that I've ever done in my life.
Well, that's good. I'm definitely, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to the program and to seeing what we can do anyhow.
Cool.
So, yeah, I appreciate your time and
Oh, my pleasure. I love doing this. This is just fun for me. I enjoy it a great deal. When
that's good.
when I was younger, so I just turned, 60, I wish that when I was in my 20s or 30s or even 40s, I wish
Uh-huh.
somebody was there to show me this. I've had to learn all this stuff on my own. And I'm
I
like,
see.
boy, if somebody would have taught me this, man, would have that made my life, easier. But it's okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
learned some things, and God has given me some wonderful wisdom and experience and humility and
good.
appreciation and thankfulness to Him for the journey He's allowed me to go on. But boy, if I can help other people, I love that too.
Well, good deal. That is good.
So,
Yeah, okay. Now what about, of course you're not going to do this without where do I, or how do we pay for?
oh, that's a good question. Yeah, thank you. So Kenny will get you out, a bill, or if you do
Okay,
business, if you can do it online, you can pay online or you can send a check. So Kenny will get that out to you either today or next
okay,
week. Accounting will get
all right,
that to you and they'll get that taken care of.
okay,
Appreciate that. And then Kenny will give you his contact information as well as Elaine's contact information, Elaine Yoder. And so she can help you, Kenny can help you, and then you're free. Kenny can give you my contact information, my email, and my phone number. And if you have any questions at any time, you can feel free to just pick up the phone and call me. Again, I have an extra 20, 30 hours of free time a week. And so just give me a
okay,
call anytime. I'd love to help you any way we can.
okay.
All right.
That
Sounds good.
sounds
Have a
good.
great weekend.
Yeah. Okay. I guess what you said, you're recording this, and how do and I could go back and listen to this again?
Yeah, what we can do is we can go ahead and get the media team to get this to you in audio in like an MP4 or something. So if you have some way to, I don't know, go to the library and have a computer, if there's some way that you can
Oh, that way. Okay.
listen to it. So they're working on getting something where something like a tablet or something. And so Kenny can talk to you about how you can get the recording on this
Okay.
and that
All
the
right.
workbook will go through a lot of this and help you even more
Okay.
because it's got everything in writing. So that'll help too.
Yeah. Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
Sounds good. Have a
Well,
great
I
weekend.
thank you again.
Okay.
Yeah. Same to you.
God
Yeah.
bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.